Hello, welcome to CIO Leadership Live. I'm Kirat Attar, content strategist at Foundry, and I will be your host for this episode. Our guest today is Vamsi Itamaraju, CTO of Axis Mutual Fund. Vamsi, welcome to this edition of CIO Leadership Live. It's such a pleasure to have you with us.
My pleasure, Kirat. Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you. Vamsi, can you tell us briefly about Axis Mutual Fund and your role and responsibility as the CTO of the company?
Axis Mutual Fund is one of the top 10 mutual fund houses in the country. It has stayed that way for a long time. One of the youngest mutual fund houses, but then has a very strong governance, very strong promotership. So that led to our sustained leadership in this position. My role as a CTO at Axis Mutual Fund has to do a lot about three aspects. One, IT strategy, the direction that we want to take, whether it is in terms of digital, phygital, what do we do for the next 3 years is what I craft, and then also execute them with a very lean team. That's one. The second is around corporate IT governance. There are two aspects to this. One, we are regulated by SEBI. Number two, we are part of a large corporate house called Axis Bank. That's the promoter. So both keep us very nimble in terms of how quick we have to adapt to changing regulatory environment, whether it is from Reserve Bank or SEBI. So that's the second large aspect of my role. The last one has to do with how we can use analytics, data science, the emerging tech, starting from Gen AI to cloud. How we can make the best use of tech that is available to us. How do we embrace tech while, of course, tick boxing the earlier two bullets that I spoke about.
Understood. Thank you so much for explaining that to us. That definitely encompasses your primary responsibilities in the organization, and hopefully, we'll be able to get into it as the interview progresses.
Sure.
Uh, I'd like to kick off this conversation by asking about data security. Because for customers of banking institutions to feel financially secure, it is integral that their information is secured first. And given the sensitive nature of information which is collected by banking and mutual fund enterprises, how does Axis Mutual Fund ensure the security of customers' financial information and their personal data?
Right. No, I think I will try to go about it in in a one single phrase. It's about anything that we do in terms of digitization, anything that we do in terms of embracing new tech. Primarily, while also keeping our eyes on existing tech, is to make sure that it passes through a very, very robust security life cycle. We're not talking about a SOC. We are not talking about an event management platform here. We are not talking about just a vulnerability and penetration testing practice that a routine traditional enterprise would go. What we do here is called security architecture and review, which is a precedent to any new release, any new major software rollout or new hardware rollout that happens within the enterprise. We do an enterprise architecture level review in terms of security. There is a big support that we derive from the mothership, Axis brand, but then we also have investments made in these spaces which ensure that even before we bring tech into the lay of the land, we have an architectural review that kind of tick boxes approximately 54 controls to tell us that, okay, look, this is a reasonably safe ship to start sailing on. So that's where the journey starts, right? And once you are on, the sustainability of this security depth is across a spectrum, right? Whether it is the 7 layers of network, whether it is in terms of how we secure our cloud, how we behave in the cloud, how the decision between what stays on cloud and what stays on prem, even where we decide to cloud, ensuring that the encryption is in line with what goes a step beyond what the regulators want, making sure that the processing happens in the country, and you're not even letting data flow out of the country for processing. Forget where the data sits, where the data gets processed is also a key element of how we choose software. We've had instances of exceptional systems that we stayed away from the moment we realized that the processing may not be in country, etc., etc. So I think that's the level of corp IT governance that goes with that. Without saying it goes that you need to stick on to that levels of corporate IT governance. So that's what we endure to. So I can go about it and rant about what all we do within the security space maybe for the next 30 minutes. But I think the way I'll put it is it's central to how we even make a IT portfolio selection, right? Our portfolio of technology investments, start with security. That's how I put it.
Thank you. Those are some very thought-provoking points around how Axis Mutual Fund is approaching data security and some of the things that you highlighted in terms of especially where the data is stored, where the data is analyzed. That's definitely something that's really important to the aspects of, securing information. To move from data security to data analytics, given that strong and accurate predictions are a core
Yeah.
aspect of the mutual fund industry,
Yeah.
how are you leveraging data analytics to make informed decisions about the market and thus provide the right financial plans to over 1.2 crore active investor accounts?
Yeah. See, again, it's about responsible use of AI, the ability to use predictable insights, how we can induce these factors into our ways of working. Has been paramount to the data science team. Uh, to start with, if I rewind just 3 to 4 years back, we were living on a legacy data warehouse platform, which was nothing more than server infrastructure, right? It was a mere server infrastructure that we had. We would have data in different boxes. Bring what data you need for analytics into one box, and you run reports as crude as that. From that point of time to where we are today, we have a lake formation today. You got a warehouse, you got data marts which are sliced and diced for different functions. So that's at a architecture level. Then the way analytics are pursued is we don't see that as a separate function altogether, right? While there is a data science team and these guys are evangelists for analytics and they go consult different business functions for what their needs are, the idea is also make them capable of doing analytics on a daily basis, on a DIY basis, no, on a do-it-yourself basis. So the idea is to, for example, the data visualization platform that we use, it's called Click. The access to that is pretty much given to any end user who's enthusiastic about it. And there are immersion sessions which are conducted to these business users every now and then. So anybody who has a flair for analytics gets to attend these immersion sessions, become an analytical leader on their own, right, for their respective function. It doesn't have to come from a central function. So that's in short our approach. In terms of a tech stack, we're slowly moving from legacy tech to modern tech. Some of these are a mix of cloud native technologies. For example, the machine learning capabilities that we bring on, it comes from SageMaker, which is native to Amazon's cloud. Again, making sure that going back to my previous point about processing and where does the data sit, etc., etc. While we tick box all that, make sure that we also leverage cloud native tech. SageMaker is one fine example. The other examples could be around Redshift, which is the data warehousing platform that we use. So that's in short the investments that we have made, Kirat.
In the analytics and the data.
Yes, yes. And there is a fine segregation between the data engineering team and the data science team. I think there are two parts to it. There's one that looks at the engineering or the mathematics side of it. There is one team that is looking at the statistics and science part of it. There's art and craft to it, right? So we don't combine these, and they belong to different shelves altogether. And the data science team works that much more closer with the business. So that's how we maintain the balance.
Understood. That was a very detailed response and completely agree with your point of empowering your business units instead of just keeping the analytics team as the stronghold of all analytics. I think that would end
Yeah.
up with you would end up with a very siloed way of working, which I'm
Yeah.
sure you don't want.
Agree.
Uh, Jumping to emerging technologies, which I'm sure you've heard everyone talking about. I think all the CIOs and CTOs have a special focus on this.
Yeah,
Almost every industry is intrigued by how AI, particularly generative AI, can
yeah.
enhance processes and take businesses to the next level. So, how are you, or how is Axis Mutual Fund leveraging Gen AI and Chat GPT in the company to supplement your ultimate goal of customer centricity?
Yeah, no, I think that's one question that everybody wants to hear responses from the CIO community, and I don't disagree that Gen AI is a capability to watch out for. It's already a existing force, and it will only grow by the day, right? The two three things to keep in mind, Kirat. One is technology becomes scalable, replicable, extensible only when it becomes enterprise grade. Today, a lot of generative AI opportunities are not enterprise grade, right? They are open
Absolutely
source.
right.
They come from open source communities. So as long as it works, it works. Something goes bad, you don't know whom to reach out for, right?
Barely
So
any regulation.
right, right. So I think regulation, I would say, is still a further step. I'm talking about enterprise grade support. Cloud took off when Amazon put in place enterprise grade support, or Microsoft put in enterprise grade support, right? Of
Okay.
course, for Microsoft, it comes naturally because of how they have been deep rooted into enterprises. But if you look at Google, if you look at Amazon, the cloud, hyperscalers and their SaaS, PaaS offerings, they took off only when these capabilities became enterprise grade, right? That's one. Number two, you need a wide variety of skill set availability in the market, right? You don't want to rely on a partner, or one particular developer in the team, who, everything is on whom everything is hinging on.
Mhm.
Certain skill sets are more complex to build on. For example, building large language models are not easy. It takes multi-year effort. Whereas certain skills are easy to pick up and sustainable. For example, prompt engineering. Right, you can only make as much of a tool, when you know how to use the tool. Right, the more you know about how to use the tool, you max out on the advantages from the tool. Uh, Prompt engineering is the way you communicate with Gen AI, right? If you don't know how to create these prompts, then your effectiveness of using these platforms go only so far. And
Yeah.
if you want to, there are two ways about it. One, you want to serve yourself in a DIY mode, then you want to hire this prompt engineering talent and groom prompt engineering capabilities within the enterprise that you are. The other way is to rely on vendor. I think it has to be a balance that tilts more towards internalizing this, because the employees know much more about how to tap these use cases that Gen AI is capable of, and the use cases range from HR to marketing to anybody who consumes content and creates content, right? As a most basic use case, and then I can go on. So I think, yeah, you will have to do an approach that's very similar to what I laid out for analytics earlier. It has to be in a DIY construct, is what I feel.
Mm. That's a very intriguing answer. Some very important points that you've highlighted, that you can't be relying only on external, maybe vendors or partners to be able to provide solutions to you in the AI domain, and you can't rely on just one particular person to become the expert, because that means that your team is still in the dark and one
Yeah.
person knows the majority of it. Uh, so coming to my final question, to so to speak, social media platforms have become very popular and a very potent way of communicating with your consumers, also the way people communicate with each other. So, how are you leveraging social media or communication platforms like WhatsApp, etc.? And also keeping in mind that India has a wide, range of vernacular languages,
Yeah.
so that the company Axis Mutual Fund can stay connected to India's fast-growing digital native population.
Yeah, no, I think I'm slightly afraid I might end up boring the audience. If they've been following me on some of these podcasts, etc. But the question has an answer within Kirat. WhatsApp and the multilinguistic approach that we've had is fairly early, and we've been an early bird in terms of adapting vernacular languages, and the number of Indian languages that we cover have been growing. We started with a couple of languages. Today we do close to 6 7 languages: Bengali, Marathi, multitude of languages across the spectrum of the country, and we get active. So two ways about it. One, linguistic support for customer support. Yes, that's something that we embraced on WhatsApp fairly early, and it's going well as a platform. WhatsApp multilingual support is only
Yeah.
growing in popularity. The other one is in terms of how we infuse some of these capabilities into the CRM platform itself. That's where, I'm just trying to link it to your previous question around Gen AI. Today, there are giants like Microsoft who come with who have made investments. For example, ChatGPT has a promotership from Microsoft, right? You got Microsoft's skin in ChatGPT platform, and
Yeah.
therefore their ability to infuse these capabilities into their own CRM systems. Similarly, Amazon and Google's investments. These giants have got skin in the game for Gen AI. Platforms which have been gaining popularity, and how we therefore bring these into our enterprise systems, for example CRM, contact center, etc. So we quickly realize that, okay, look, Mr. Vamsi speaks Telugu, and he comes from XYZ area, and the demographic bit of it, and then therefore quickly switch to the hyper personalized format, in giving that support. So um, I think this is one classic use case. Uh,
Yeah.
but most use cases we have seen around language, around social media, has been around reaching out to larger demographic. That is one. In terms of how we interact, though, in a digital format, I think we would want to keep it as a one-way communication in some channels. For example, Instagram. While Instagram is hugely popular, it might not be a effective two-way communication. So you
Yes,
want to use it just
absolutely.
one way. So there's a fine distinction between what has to be used one way and what has to be two way.
Mm.
Yep.
True, true. That's very true, actually. Very understandable that some platforms are more
Yeah.
suited to a slightly more advertising sort of communication, and
Yeah.
others more suitable to a feedback-based or a help
Correct.
desk-like communication.
Correct. Correct. Or even serving them, right?
Yeah,
Serving them, giving them the necessary customer support and post sale support.
that's That's actually very accurate. That was my final question. So that brings us to the end of this episode of CIO Leadership Live. Vamsi, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you so much for sitting down with us, spending some valuable time with us, and sharing your insights into your CTO role and all of the exciting challenges that Axis Mutual Fund is taking up, and all the ways in which you are leveraging both existing and emerging technology that's slowly revolutionizing the makings of the business. This has been a very enlightening conversation for us.
My pleasure, Kirat. Thanks to the team Foundry for having me here.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Until next time, this is Kirat signing off from CIO Leadership Live.